Hello and welcome to Ginny's Gin Livestream. I am Ginny, and together with my husband Rob, who will be on later, and our dear friends Amy and Jeff Close, we founded Ginny's Gin a few years ago. It's actually been, I think, 2 weeks now since we did our last live stream, and as most of you probably know, a lot has happened since then. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but on September 27th, a fire started on Crystal Springs Road in St. Helena, in that area. It became the Glass Fire because that Glass Mountain Road is in that same vicinity. It spread very rapidly. To this point right now, it is actually, I think, 74% contained. So thank goodness our firefighters have done an amazing job at getting this under control, but it was absolutely terrifying. It's burned 67,484 acres over the course of the last, well, it's been 11 days now, but they got it contained fairly, that first week was really horrifying. Over 1,500 structures were destroyed and 17 wineries were impacted, whether that was partial loss of the winery or complete destruction. And not only with the wines that were actually in the buildings were destroyed, but also a bunch of vineyards as well. So we have friends that lost their vineyards. One friend was on his property, had 2 bulldozers and 100 firefighters at his winery before he was asked to leave. They did incredibly save his winery, although he did lose the vineyard. And so the fire swept from Napa over into Sonoma. Obviously it was really at the whim of the winds. And yet again, Sonoma was under evacuation. We were very fortunate. We have just been, this entire time, we've been on the edge of the evacuation order. So we were very lucky. But obviously our hearts go out to those friends that have lost homes, vineyards, wineries. And it smacks of 2017, and the fire just burned in different areas. So this is our new normal. When it impacts the wine industry, it's interesting. I think that vintners and grape growers, as farmers, they're all pretty resilient people, because every year, every vintage, Mother Nature throws something at you, some curveball, and so I think as a breed, they're pretty good at pivoting and figuring out what they have to do. They'll react in the vineyard, or winemakers will make adjustments, as they're doing their thing in the winery.
Now they're making brandy out of it.
Yeah, yes. I think that the press likes to talk about what's been destroyed or what's been burned, but I think equally impacting is the smoke taint. So as the smoke lingers on the grapes, it's not that long before once it goes into the tank and then ultimately it becomes wine, the smoke taint actually makes it taste like an ashtray. So even if some vintners have already brought in their grapes and made wine out of them, it's potentially they won't be able to use it necessarily. In France, the word for fermenting and aging the wine is called élevage, which actually means raising or rearing, much as you would a child, for instance. And I know that these folks are really close to what they do, and they're very passionate about it. I know that if anybody asked Rob what his favorite wine was that he produced, he'd be like asking him if he had a favorite child. So there's an emotional toll, obviously, that's taken with all of this. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on this any further. I'm going to make, what we're both going to do today is, in honor of wine country, we are going to make a cocktail that has wine in it. In fact, both of the wines are Rob's wines, and we're going to use the red and also the Chardonnay as well. So I'm going to make it's called a red wine Ginny's Gin sour. So a sour basically has gin and lemon juice, which is balanced with the simple syrup. And then to make it nice and frothy, you add in an egg white as well, and you give it a good shake. And then with this particular one, we're going to do a layer of red wine. So it looks really pretty, it's kind of fun. And then there's also a little bit of elderflower liqueur in there as well. When I was growing up, I lived in a cottage called Dipper's Cottage. We moved to the country when I was 7 years old. And my father made, we had elderflowers there, and my father made elderflower wine out of these elderflowers. And there was one time when he was, put it in England we have these things called airing cupboards. So it's where your hot water heater is, and you put your clothes in there, you know, after they've come off the line and they dry. So he put it, you know, his wine in there, and of course something happened and it exploded and it went all over Mum's, you know, laundry that was drying in the so anyway, that's my elderflower story. Okay, without further ado, all right, 2 ounces of gin, and you know, I played with this recipe. Some people might want to make it a little less sour than I'm doing. We just add a little bit more simple syrup, but I actually like the sour in a gin sour. All right, so 2 ounces of gin is gin, the main ingredient. There we go. Yeah, we have friends that still can't even get back in to where their homes are to be able to sift through. So we're hoping for them that they'll be able to get in there soon. So good luck with that. 2 ounces of gin, and then I'm going to do the elderflower. I'm going to do 3/4 of an ounce of elderflower liqueur. There's 3/4. There we go. Drop my thing. Oops. And then with the simple syrup, I'm just going to do, I think I'm going to do half an ounce as opposed to 3/4, which you know, sometimes you 1 to 1. So there's half an ounce of the simple syrup, because you get a little sweetness obviously from the elderflower liqueur as well. And then I'm going to do an ounce of lemon juice. Put this here so I don't get any pips in there. Okay, let's see what this, oops. Depending on how juicy the lemon is, as I say, I'm going to do 3/4, and I can get that out.
Out of half of these.
I can get out of it, yeah, that's a really juicy Meyer lemon. I got a whole 3/4 of an ounce from just
$1.25
half of them. $1.25, I know, bloody expensive. Okay, that's the lemon. So we got gin, lemon, elderflower, simple syrup, and then the egg white, which is what, and I already put this in a little pot here. So the whole egg white, there we go, and that's what's going to make it nice and frothy.
Well, it also removes the astringency from the red wine. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, so I think we've talked about this before. We're going to double shake it. So we're going to shake it without any ice in it. What?
You said double shake.
Shake. I don't even know how to drink it. So we're going to shake it without ice, and then I'm going to add ice and shake it again. And the shaking is what wakes it up, right, and makes everything, because you've got some, not, you know, the egg white it's fairly hard to get it all incorporated and emulsified into the cocktail. So we do this for a little while.
Well, it happens, it won't do it as well at cold temperature with ice.
Oh, is that right? So you do it warm first, well, it's not exactly warm, but, and then you add the ice after that. Okay, cool. The longer you shake, the frothier it gets. Nearly there. Okay, this is my exercise for today. All right, here we go. Now the ice, and a little more exercise. I'm going to use 2 and a small one. There we go. Put the lid back on. You know, I mean, obviously if you have tin shakers and all that fun stuff at home in your bar, that's great. But I like to do, you know, the mason jar to show those of you that don't have all the, you know, kit and caboodle that a mason jar works just perfectly fine. Shake away. Looking frothy. So in this case, because we're using wine, I've chosen to actually use a little wine glass. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but I like the fact that it's sort of fairly tall, and so the froth has a place to look good. All right, and then I'm going to use my hawthorn strainer to make sure that the ice doesn't go in there. Let's do this. Oh yeah. Nice and frothy. And then we're going to add a little bit of the red wine. Just a bit of that. There we go. All right. There's the froth. It's almost like your coffee. So, 3/4 of an ounce of red wine. Tell me about this.
Oh, that wine is BS. That wine's BS. Barrel sample?
Yep.
That's a joke. That's a wine joke.
Yep. All right, so 3/4 of an ounce. There we go. So, you know, if you have a bottle of red wine open, then that would be the great time to use that.
That was topping wine left over from a wine that we bottled this past June. So it's Meg's Vineyard, single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's lot 6. So there's 2 lots in the vineyard that
That's
year.
why it has 6 on it.
That's why it says 6 on it.
Yeah. A little more of that. Go on. There we go.
It's not 666.
Nope. Okay, so this is a bar spoon, but you can obviously use the back of the regular spoon for sure. And I'm just going to pour that in. Makes a nice little layer. You see the layer coming? There we go. Perfect. All right. And I think because there's enough going on there, I don't really need any garnish in particular. Oh, actually, we did talk about doing the lemon, didn't we? The little bit of lemon flower. So there it is, the red wine, Ginny's Gin Sour. There we go. And now Rob is also going to do a cocktail with wine in it as well. And, all right.
Okay.
And I'm going to clean this for you.
Yeah. Okay, so I got Ginny's Gin. I call it Lillet, but Ginny always tells me it's Lillet. So there's my Lillet Blanc and elderflower. And this is also a BS wine. It's a barrel sample of a wine that's still aging on the lees right now in barrels. It's 2019 Russian River Chardonnay from Forestville, which makes it Green Valley AVA. And so those 4 ingredients, what's cool I love about this drink, not only that it includes wine, and the original recipe I found in Death & Co.'s cocktail book, and it calls for Sauvignon Blanc, but we don't have Sauvignon Blanc, and I personally don't really like it. So we're going to do the same drink, but with Chardonnay, and they call it Summer Shack. I'm calling it Ginny Shack. And it's a stirred cocktail. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and measure. And so for the drink, it's 1.5 ounces of gin, 3/4 ounces of Lillet, 1/2 ounce of white wine, 1/4 ounce of elderflower, Saint Germain, which is very strong, and then a teaspoon of simple syrup. So that's actually the 5th ingredient, the simple syrup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a double. It's Friday night. So we're going to mix it up in a mixing glass. And so I'm going to do mine as a double. So it's going to be 3 ounces of gin, which
Yum.
it kind of takes 3 ounces just to move the needle at this point after 6 months of drinking pretty regularly. And not that much,
7 months.
but a little bit every night. And a little bit meaning like 2 drinks, like 4 ounces. So there's the gin in. And then we're going to do the next biggest ingredient, which is the Lillet. So 2 times 3/4 of an ounce would be 1.5 ounces. So there's that. And then we're going to do the Chardonnay. And that's going to be 1/2 ounce. So we're going to flip this over, which is why they hold them like this, right? So they can go, but you know. So we're going to do a 1/2 ounce twice to make this double drink. So that's going to be a full ounce of some very savage tasting Chardonnay. Then we're going to go with this very small amount. It's 1/4 ounce per drink, so it's only going to be a 1/2 ounce of the, oh man. And it smells kind of like really ripe Gewürztraminer or even Riesling. It has a great aroma. And it's strong, so it doesn't take a lot of it to get, I go just like a hair under a 1/2 ounce. Per 1/4 ounce per drink, which is a hair under 1/2 ounce for 2. There's that. And then all we need is just this 1 per drink, but 2 for this one. So 2 half ounces of Le Simple syrup. And then we are going to use our special tongs to drop some ice in.
John
I
Kane
call these the claw. Huh?
John Kane Hartness is watching. Say hi.
Oh, that's funny. Hi, John. How are you, man? Long time. Okay, so now we're gonna. I mean, and there's a trick to how you stir. I mean, this is the first. So we've been doing this for.
This is our 22nd
22nd live stream since COVID started, and this is the first stirred cocktail that I've done, and I'm not sure I've ever made a stirred cocktail. I love my shakers and my shaker tunes, and and all kinds of other fun things I do. But could you get my frozen glass for me?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to let it like twirl, right, when you spin it like that, but it's a technique I haven't really worked on much. So there we go. So there's our stirred cocktail. And the reason people use tins rather than jars is because they transfer the cold or the heat so fast. If you take a mixing tin and wash it with hot water, man, it'll burn your hands like that. And that's the same reason why with cold and ice, it gets super chill.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm gonna drop this bad boy in there. The reason I made it a double is because I wanted the glass to be full. Well, no, because it makes it, well look at that. See, for this size glass? Mm-hmm. So a lot of cocktails, if you follow the recipes in bartender books, you end up with a half a glass and it just doesn't look cool. And I thought, man, you know what would look really awesome is we still have our flowers flowering in our garden and the nasturtiums, and it just looks really cool on there.
Pretty.
And it's a pretty tasty little drink. So there you go.
Excellent. Let's get that out of here.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yes.
Oh, check this out. This is really funny. So I picked a lemon from our lemon tree yesterday. And I mean, I hope you guys could see this, but man, it looks like a porpoise.
For those of you in Florida.
Yeah, look at that. It's like porpoisey looking dude, or even like a seagull. It's funny. That's just how it grew.
And that was Julia that actually inspired us with that, because she did this beautiful face with on a cocktail Instagram post, and it looks really good. So I'll be doing some more of those, I'm sure. So guys, hang in there, those of you that are still obviously impacted by the fire. I know that there's still a lot going on, and we love you guys, and keep drinking the gin is gin. That will help get you through some of this, hopefully, and make some great cocktails, and we will see you next week. And
4 ounces a day is all we ask.
That's it.
2 drinks. Or one of these. Oh, and then that leads to, talking about our wines.
Oh.
For everybody that lives in Napa and Sonoma, and not to exclude everybody else, but, we kind of have like a friends and family thing that we do, so just reach out for me, either on Facebook or text me, or, just kind of reach out, and I'll deliver, as well as apply a friends and family thing for all of our friends for both Pinot and Chard, not the cap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gravel.
And then if you're out of town, let's wait till November, reach out for me, and we'll do a friends and family. And we'll have ground shipping then, and that'll make it make a lot more sense. Right now it's too expensive to ship far.
Yeah.
So with that, happy Friday.
Yes, have a great weekend, and cheers to the weekend. Love you guys.
Cheers, queers.
Cheers. Cheers, honey.
That's a boozy cocktail.
It's almost like dessert.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Take care, everybody.